Hello, my dear friends. Welcome or welcome back. My name is Sarita. Really glad to see you today. I really did not intend to do a candle haul from Bath & Body Works for Candle Day. I had been watching all of the different reports and rumors about all of the different candles. I saw them in life in the page or inside the page or whatever. And I could tell that I'm not practiced enough with Candle Day to know whether or not it is significantly less interesting than it usually is. But for me personally, I wasn't really seeing anything that I wanted or that wasn't already in the store or I had already tried, etc. I didn't really I just didn't see a whole lot. So I did not expect to buy very much for Candle Day, and I didn't really buy a whole lot for Candle Day, but I did go in on Friday and I got two things, and then I went today a couple hours ago and got a few more, and I had been kind of stopping in and smelling things, and I just thought, oh, what the heck? Just get on and tell them what it is that you bought and let it go. I have to say, I have, you can't see here off camera, the mountain of candles over here, sitting here on this countertop from what I've accumulated over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. I have made a pilgrimage not only to Columbus, Ohio, which is where I was born and raised, where my family lives, and I stopped at pretty much every TJ Maxx and Marshall's there and back, kind of the way that older people like to stop at Cracker Barrel. I stopped at TJ Maxx and Marshall. So I have a ton of candles that I bought over Black Friday and the last couple weeks that I definitely want to do a huge haul for you. Many of them are Homeworks, but frankly, a lot of them are just from all kinds of different candle companies. So I definitely want to tell you about what I purchased over the last couple weeks. Most of it was not Bath & Body Works. And even in Columbus, Ohio, I went to the test store and I did not realize this, but they kind of temporarily discontinue their test candles during the high holiday season and then bring them back in January. So the pilgrimage to the test candle location at Tuttle Crossing Mall was not a good experience and very much a waste of time for me. I did end up buying a couple things at their big flagship store at Easton Mall, and I'm going to do a big or not a big, but I'm going to do a devoted candle haul from that Easton location because they are, I believe, one of the only locations in the world that still carries these Henry Bendel candles. So I bought 3 of them, and we'll talk about that in another video coming up. Other than that, I didn't really purchase a whole lot of Bath & Body Works in Columbus. So everything that I purchased here in Charlottesville, Virginia over the last 2 days. And I want to talk about it. I got this bag thing. When I bought the 2 candles on Friday, they didn't give me a bag. They just gave me a normal bag, but then they gave me this red one, which is fine. I didn't go for the bag for sure. First thing that I want to say, and I've been kind of posting a little bit on social media, is candy cane colada. Can we have a moment and talk about that candle? So it looks like this. I did not purchase it, although I came super, super close. So candy cane colada, if you told me a week ago that I would be even contemplating buying candy cane colada, I would have laughed so hard. I would have died laughing, right? I mean, it's just not up my alley. I don't do gourmands. I definitely don't do candy gourmands. And Bath & Body Works, man, with their goofy mixes. And you just think to yourself, why? Why would you mix a Hawaiian colada with a candy cane? Why? Just because they can. Because they can, you know? I was so pleasantly surprised by this candle. So I think that if you have any interest at all in that genre, candy, cocktails, candy canes, Bath & Body Works mashups, things that should not go together that in fact do and quite well, you really want to check that candle out. I actually carried it around in my basket on Friday for a good half an hour before I finally was like, snap out of it! Snap out of it! What are you doing? What are you doing? And today I did also like smell it again, and I'm like, no, Sarita, it's like, it's not a Sarita candle. Like, just let it go. It is great for its genre, but it's not you. The major reason that I did not end up buying it is because it has pineapple in it. And it was the pineapple that was throwing me off. I did not need the pineapple, but the coconut and the candy cane went together so well. The very first thing that I want to say about it is that it is not synthetic. Almost all of the new-ish candles that they brought out for Candle Day are like extremely processed, extremely synthetic. For whatever reasons, Candy Cane Colada, which screams synthetic to you, is actually not. It smells quite authentic. It's like an authentic, it doesn't have a body care dimension to it. It's got like a really nice pineapple, a really nice coconut. It's a soft coconut, and it's a really nice peppermint, as in a candy cane. But everything is like soft and authentic and fairly pure. And it should not go together, and it really does. So think about it for a second, because I'm a sucker. Despite the fact that I don't do candy and I don't do gourmands, I am a sucker for that combination of like peppermint candy cane and like white chocolate vanilla, right? There's something about that candy cane that's so biting, that's so acerbic, that's so, ooh, cool. And then when you mix it with that beautiful warm white chocolate or just a vanilla, a beautiful vanilla, it softens everything down. And it's like those two like flavor combinations were just meant for each other. They are amazing. So think about it that way. You have in that coconut colada candle, you have like a really beautiful candy cane, and then you've got that beautiful like vanilla white chocolate, but they made it like a white chocolate coconut basically. And really coconut isn't too far. You can get a beautiful like coconut milk kind of creamy coconut, and that's kind of the direction it goes. So really it's no different than like a peppermint white chocolate, but they've just rounded it out with that coconut. And for some reason, the coconut works with it. It's unbelievable. I could have done without the pineapple, and it was the pineapple that finally was kind of the deal breaker for me. It's not that the pineapple is a bad note, and it doesn't mean that it like sends it off in a weird direction. It's just a little too much, I think, for a candle like that. And I think you do have to be cautious when you're mixing candy cane peppermint with any kind of flavor combination. And I think that vanilla coconut is about as far as you could push that particular combination of those things being so unique, but also working well, still being creamy, still kind of cutting that peppermint, but working with it. The pineapple took it, I think it was just one element too far. And it's just very sweet. It's very sweet and it's very citrusy, and it was one note too many. And possibly it doesn't quite go as well with that peppermint candy cane as the coconut and the vanilla do. I would love it if Bath & Body Works came out with a candle next year that was like some kind of candy cane coconut white chocolate. Do without the pineapple. We don't need to go that direction, but I think those three were a fantastic combination. And I've heard that they, upon being burned, smell really great together. And I believe it, because the candle actually smelled surprisingly great. So I didn't end up actually pulling the trigger on it because of the pineapple, but I really kind of recommend that candle. I thought it was the standout. Of all of the candles that I smelled in the store, I thought it was the standout, and it was just so improbable, so unexpected. What a surprise that a candle like that would work. Everything else was not good, unless you really love those kinds of genres. So like the Cosmopolitan and all, I mean, it just, whoa, it was just way too much. It's its own specific genre. God bless if you love it, but I do think it takes a special person to like some of those fragrances. Let's talk really quickly about the ones that I did pick up, and they're not really that like remarkable. I only have 6. One of them I picked up today, and that is this one right here, which was Lavender Vanilla. And I know Lavender Vanilla has been out for a bit. I don't know that I've actually burned Lavender Vanilla, and I I like it fine. So it's lavender blossom, creamy vanilla, white woods, and sugared musk. So you got a definite lavender. And then you do have something that's a little bit, I would say sandalwoody, which makes sense with the vanilla and the woods. If this was like being marketed at a different time, they may have just been like lavender and sandalwood. It's got a little bit of a muskiness. It does have a little bit of a lotion body fragrance kind of feel, but not like overtly in a super synthetic Bath and Body Works way. So I like it. I don't love it. I don't think it's going to be hoard worthy for me, but I have enjoyed, there was that coconut lavender breeze or whatever that candle was in the summer that had the coconut and the lavender, and I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic candle. And of course we know Pink Lavender Espresso was a huge hit from January. So I'm kind of loving some of these lavender blends that they're putting out. And I also got, where is it? I also got this one right here, which is Cozy Cashmere, which again, I know of by reputation, but I actually don't know if I've burned Cozy Cashmere. So again, didn't seem like it would be super hoard worthy for me, but this one truly is sandalwood. So this is vanilla, sandalwood, and lavender. Ooh, I like this one a lot. I think I like it better than Lavender Vanilla. It does feel super cozy. And although it doesn't have an overt like linen or cotton note to it, it does kind of invoke something a little tiny bit soapy, but just in a really nice way, so that your mind does kind of go to like a laundry kind of situation. There's a freshness about it, but I would say without it going full board like laundry day or even like linen or cotton or something like that. So it's just like a really fresh, but also bright lavender, creamy, cozy sandalwood. I like it. I like it. Again, not hoard worthy. I really kind of like the packaging too. I'm not a country girl personally, so I don't love like the country aspect of this aesthetic, but I think in terms of it being a beautiful package, it really is. I love the simple. I love just the neutral wraparound without like crazy graphics or anything like that. So it really works beautifully just as a package and as a presentation, even though I'm not really a country girl. But for sure, nice January burn, and I'm excited. So when I got this one, I thought to myself, oh, what the heck? This one is so similar because lavender, vanilla, woods, and musk. It's a little more subtle than this one is here. And to me, it feels a little bit more herbal. The lavender that's coming across seems a little bit more austere, perhaps, than this like really super cozy, luxurious kind of one. And it's not soapy, although it does feel a little sweet as in a lotion, yeah? But look at that packaging too. Isn't it beautiful? Oh my gosh, I think it's so stunning. I really do. I just think it's beautiful. And you, with those intentional like kind of brush-like strokes in it and the colors, I think that's so beautiful. And again, a great January, February burn. So why not? Let's just knock out all those similar creamy lavender candles. And then I went ahead and got this one right here, which was in that collection of all the seasons ones. They have like the summer and the spring and the fall. And I've smelled the fall one before. It's fine. It's really fine. It does lean a tiny bit to craft store for me personally, but it's fine. So I didn't really need to pick that one up, besides like drowning in fall candles and feeling the panic of like, I pretty much just have to call it here and start burning winter ones. So I wasn't tempted to pick that one up. And what other ones? The spring one was fine. It was just a little bit too body care for me personally. Although there were some nice elements, some nice like kind of botanical elements that I like to it, and the fruitiness I could kind of get behind. The summer was a little aggressive for me. But it wasn't bad. Actually, I thought all 4 of them were fine. They were decent candles in and of their own right, and I thought that they were appropriate given their season. This one is supposed to be new here, this winter one, and it wasn't bad, although I can't say that it's my wheelhouse. So the notes on this one are winter pine needles, frosted eucalyptus, and icy peppermint. And frankly, I don't usually love the fragrances that go like pine, eucalyptus, peppermint. Eucalyptus and peppermint are just, you got to get those notes correct. And honestly, little goes a long way with both of them. I don't mind seeing a eucalyptus note in a candle or a peppermint note, but when they're together and they're being done by Bath and Body Works, I'm kind of running away from that combination. I don't think the tree is going to be able to redeem that. And this was surprisingly good. I really like it. And yes, it does have eucalyptus, but I have to say of all 3 elements, it's the eucalyptus that is the 3rd element. So I would say that the first element on this is the icy peppermint, but instead of it being a true icy peppermint with all of the sharpness of peppermint and nothing that could soften it, and looking at that fragrance, I mean, when you're looking at a peppermint, you need something to soften it, and eucalyptus and pine needles are not going to be able to soften a peppermint, which is another reason why I read those notes and I thought there's just no way. But this smells much more nuanced than those notes indicate. The peppermint here is what you immediately feel. And it does have an almost mentholated kind of feel to it, which is appropriate given the fragrance. But then just as you're hitting that menthol and you're like, oh, I don't know about this, then all of a sudden it transforms into back to a peppermint candy cane. And it's got that white chocolate vanilla back behind it. So just the peppermint note in and of itself really undergoes a really nice nuance and transformation. And just as you're going through that transformation, you hit the pine. And the pine with the vanilla and the candy, right? And then the eucalyptus. And the eucalyptus is on the back end. And so it's kind of like that last note that you get as you're pulling your nose away from the candle. And it just works. And the eucalyptus doesn't come across as like medicinal. It comes across like fairly authentic and botanical. And herbal, frankly, more herbal than it does medicinal, which is perfect because I don't think that we could have too much medicinal in this candle. And already that first flush of peppermint is a tiny bit medicinal. And so then if the eucalyptus did the same thing, it would just be way too much. But for me, it's the only medicinal note is that very top one. And then it becomes more like a white chocolate candy cane into the pine, into the eucalyptus, which then goes herbal. And to be honest, it's surprising to me that all of those elements work in this candle because any one of them can and should probably just stand on its own. All you need is the pine, and a few other things. All you need is a candy cane with a few other things. All you need is a eucalyptus. But when you've got them all 3 together, the chances of all of them being the best versions of themselves and then working well together, it's just, it's unlikely. We'll put it that way. It's unlikely, and it's especially unlikely when Bath & Body Works is doing it because I don't know that Bath & Body Works is the most premium or nuanced in terms of the way that they generally approach candles and these fragrances specifically. And so I'm very pleasantly surprised. I really like this candle. And I'm really hoping that upon burning it, it does well and it doesn't collapse back into like that menthol note or something like that. So I'm actually really happy with it. I don't know that it's hoard worthy, but from cold smell, it's really quite nice. All right, then these 3 are gonna surprise you because they're repurchases for me and odd ones. So here's one. This is a repurchase for me and I have not done the review on this, but this is Birchwood Orchard. Folks, this is hoard worthy for me. Now I'm about to do a review of this. In fact, it's sitting over here on the ledge because it burned yesterday all the way down to the wick clips. I've been burning it for a couple weeks. I love this candle. I really do. And at first I thought it was okay. And I actually was a little bit worried about the performance, but now having burned it all the way through, not only did it hold its own, it really was above average in terms of the way that it performed. And there is something about the fragrance that I love. Now, I've been told that this came out last year in the neutrals line, which I would have liked too. And I think it was called, what was it called? Like Applewood and Clove, maybe? I think it was Applewood and Clove. I'm not really sure why they felt the need to like change the name of it and remove it from the neutrals line, because I like that neutrals line. And frankly, we didn't get I don't think that we got a great season from the neutrals collection this year. Obviously they substituted in apple and charcoal instead of applewood and clove this year. And I reviewed apple charcoal. That was not good. I do not want to see that come back. I would love to see applewood and clove. I think it's great for that neutrals line. It's a great apple plus kind of fragrance. And I mean, I definitely want to see it over that apple charcoal nonsense, right? But apparently this is just a repackage of that. Applewood and Clove, though, if I remember correctly, last year, it came out in that neutrals line very late in the season. It was like a very late fall wave into the holiday candles. And I think it just got lost in the shuffle. The only person that I remember who burned it and who reviewed it very positively was Kevin Inanel. And he really loved that candle and recommended it. And I remember thinking to myself, if I'm at a Bath & Body Works, I want to try to pick that up. And I either didn't go or I didn't find one in the store by the time, that I was looking for it. But I did keep it in my mind. And so when people said this was Applewood Clove, I did think to myself, oh, I like it. It smells good. And this is great that I get to try it. But I didn't expect remarkable things out of it. I heard a lot of things about how it was like it didn't perform well, it wasn't strong enough, etc. But I had a fantastic, look, it's pretty wax too. I loved the packaging on this as well. Anyway, I'm sorry, I don't really need to go into all of this because I am going to do a dedicated review of this candle very soon. But if this is not a vote of confidence, with the number of candles that I burn, it's very rare when you repurchase a candle in that season. It's one thing to be like, oh, I loved that, I'll repurchase it next year. That's already a vote of confidence. But for you to repurchase it in that season, that goes to show you this is an amazing candle. And frankly, it's hoard worthy for me. The notes on this one is white birch trees, fresh apples, and a hint of clove. So I was really happy to pick up another one of those. And then gird your loins. I bought not only one, I bought two of, ta-da! Snap out of it. White Barn, Cocoa Roasted, and Chestnuts. Okay, so I know that this was the much maligned candle that doesn't smell anything like its name, and I completely receive and acknowledge that. It was horribly named, horribly. I burned this for the first time yesterday. I was cleaning my house. And I put it back in my master bedroom and I opened the door. And the minute I opened the door, I was like, oh, I love it. And you know what my first thought was? I had a Barbie that smelled like this in the 80s. And I did. I had a Barbie that smelled exactly like this. She had flat feet. I think she was the little sister. What was the little sister's name? Like Skipper or whatever it was. And she smelled like this. Not all the Barbies smelled, but some of them did smell good. And I remember I would just smell it and smell it and smell it. It kind of smells like the Barbie, if I recall correctly, it was like kind of plasticky, but it was mostly like musky. It was real musky and real creamy. And now I'm like, you know what? It probably smelled like chocolate and musk at the same time. And I was so here for it. I I had good taste. Like as a kid, I was like, yeah, it was that like really smooth and creamy, like white musk that I just loved. I thought it was a fantastic smell. I couldn't get enough of it. And this smells like that. Yes, it does have some chocolate overtones. And the more that you come closer, especially like as it's burned or whatever, you blow it out, you can smell the cocoa and you can smell the chocolate overtones to it. But then the rest of it is just straight up like musk, sandalwood, tonka bean, like that kind of thing right in there. I don't think there's anything overtly nutty, although as I said, for Praline Delight, there may be some nut adjacent nuances, but a tonka bean will give you some of those nutty nuances too. So outside of what you would get from like a tonka bean, I don't really think that there's a whole lot of nut in this. And frankly, there's only just kind of an intriguing nuance of cocoa that kind of goes in that like cocoa butter direction, like in the way that many of those like tropical shea butters kind of smell. It goes like kind of like that. It just was very badly named, and almost anything would be preferable. I was driving home today and I'm like, what if they just called it like Cocoa Comfort or I don't know, Cocoa Cream or Cocoa Nights, Cocoa Evening. I don't know. Like there's just a million things they could have called it. They could have gone with something conceptual. They should have gone with something conceptual, but they definitely should not have called it some like obvious gourmand entity that it doesn't smell anything like. And it just was such a bait and switch for everyone. If you had a Barbie that smelled a certain kind of way in the 80s, definitely make sure that you're checking this out. Anyway, I love it. And I just thought to myself, buy two, because you know what? The chances of this coming back are so slim for very obvious reasons. No one is going to be clamoring for this fragrance again. Well, I mean, I know we all hate the Bath & Body Works repackages, but if there was ever a fragrance that I hope will be repackaged and remarketed, it's this one. Dear God, let it come back in like a much more conceptual name where it has a chance. It has a chance with consumers. This was absurd. But I love it. And since I'm not sure when they're going to get their act together and remarket it, I was like, I might as well stock up. You'll get a review on this one too as I burn through that other one, because I want to get a sense for how it performs through the rest of the candle. But in terms of just the fragrance, it's a yes for me, but I totally acknowledge that it's a niche fragrance and that it was, oh my gosh, it just was so undermined by the naming and the marketing of it, which just made people hate it for reasons that have nothing to do with the fragrance itself. A real misfire from Bath & Body Works, there's no question. Folks, that's all I had, and I didn't get the coconut colada one. There were a lot of other ones that were okay, but I didn't need them. I really, frankly, didn't even need these two lavender candles, but I thought, oh, what the heck. I can't even remember if I've ever burned Cozy Cashmere, and since it's kind of in my wheelhouse, I should burn it. And then I thought, well, if I get Cozy Cashmere, I might as well get Lavender Vanilla as well. So that's how that happened. I am excited about the winter candle. I think that that's really nice. And then these two are just repurchases because I already love them so much. And yeah, we will talk about those soon. In closing, here's a picture of what my store looked like this morning. I wrote on my social media, I hope this is a sign of success rather than poor planning. But between us, when I went in on Friday, there were a lot of bare displays. There were a lot of shelves that were like, did not have candles on them. And I asked one of the employees, I walked up because I was looking for like a couple things. And I'm like, hey, do you have Cozy Cashmere? And she looked at me and she was like, no, it didn't come to our store. She said it in this like weird way. And her eyes were like this big and unblinking, which I thought was kind of odd. And then I just kind of stared at her for a second. We stared at each other. And then I was like, but maybe we'll see it on Saturday or Sunday. And she was like, yeah. to be like, you don't have to be coy. It's okay. Like, I know the store, the corporate office, they have the tiers. They're encouraging you to do these. Like, I get it. Like, you don't have to just be like, I'm sorry, like, we can't sell them until Saturday or Sunday. But I did think to myself, I was like, given the state of your store, like, although the corporate office may be encouraging you to, like, respect the tiers, you have a lot of empty displays. And I think that your manager probably needs to make an executive decision and just put everything on the floor, and I don't know, maybe the store just didn't get much of anything, but they definitely needed to have full court pressure, you know what I mean? Like on Friday, because the majority of customers coming into the store have no idea about the tier system, They just come in and they see the store like 70% full, and they just think to themselves, I guess this is all we're getting for Candle Day. You know what I mean? They would have a better chance of coming back on Saturday and Sunday if you had a packed store on Friday. Even if they didn't know about the tiers, they might think to themselves, well, that store was packed to the gills. Maybe something sold. Maybe they brought something else out from the back. But when you have a store that's 70% full, like, your customer is not going to come back. They're just going to assume that's all you have. So I almost was like, let me talk to your MOD. And then I was like, Serena, no, like, you don't work here. They're not paying you. Like, let them do what they want to do. So anyway, it was not a great showing on Friday. And then that display today, I don't know what happened, but I mean, it's the only store that we have here in Charlottesville at the present. The only thing I can think is that they're not getting enough candles in. We've got a provincial rural market here, and we didn't get the trucks or whatever else. So it's kind of sad, at least in my store. And there was pretty good traffic on the floor. So, it was really kind of unfortunate that they didn't have, I think, more of a showing in terms of candles. But I've heard from other people that other stores did great. They restocked great on Friday night, on Saturday night. They had full displays, etc. So hopefully that was the case. I really wanted the White Winter Woods that was an online exclusive. And there was another one too. I think it was like Birch and Firewood, or I don't know what else. There was another one. There were two online exclusives that I really wanted, but especially White Winter Woods, because I've heard so many good things about it. And I put them in my cart on Friday. But I was kind of hoping that, like, as the sale went on, they would be like, take an extra 20% off, blah, 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 online. And so I waited on my cart, and then by Saturday they were sold out. I mean, there's very few candles on the website right now. So unfortunately I didn't get White Winter Woods, and I didn't see it in the store. I didn't see much of anything in the store. So that was that. I'll have to discover that some other time. And I shopped without coupons. I haven't gotten coupons for a hot minute. So these were just $9.99. I didn't have any other coupons, but I still think for $9.99, it's a really good price. So I was happy with my 6 little candles, 3 of which were repurchases. But I don't think it was like an amazing candle day for Bath and Body Works. And frankly, I don't think that it's been a phenomenal holiday showing for them. I think I remember last year being better, frankly, in terms of just the thought of the packaging and the presentations and the candle selections. There were a lot of weird candles that made showings too for this candle day, like sweet whiskey. Why do we have sweet whiskey on the floor? Like, we've had sweet whiskey on the floor for the last like 3 or 4 months. It's not sold well because, newsflash, it's not a good candle. Like, why did they do another candle day version of it? Sweet whiskey. Why? There were some weird choices like that, but I would say generally speaking, it hasn't been a strong holiday season for Bath and Body Works. It hasn't been a disaster by any stretch either, so it's fine. But I would say that it's just kind of been barely adequate for the holiday season. It doesn't like ruin my day or ruin my life. I don't live or die Bath and Body Works. I burn so many other candles that, like, when one candle company is having like kind of an off moment, there's another one that can pick up you know, the slack, it's not a huge thing. But I do think that there was a lot of disappointment to go around about this candle day. And I kind of get that. It wasn't super remarkable. And we didn't have a ton of candles that like everybody had to get, you know, that were like headliners, blockbusters, you know. And we probably needed to see that, but across the board, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more excitement, a little bit more originality, and a little bit more creativity with just the holiday offerings across the board. But yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It's not exactly 2 thumbs up, but Bath & Body Works was adequate this year, and that's what we can say about it. I'm just happy if I can find a couple candles that I like, that make me smile, etc. So for me, the bar is a little low. I hope you guys did well, and I'm sorry, this like video was way longer than it needed to be for like 6 candles, but it's really good to see you. Please stay tuned. I will have the Henry Bendel candles coming up, and I'll have that enormous haul for you as well. So as well as several other candles that need to be reviewed because I have burned through them. So I'll catch you in the next one.